All right, so I'm a star creator. My name is Blaze, and I've been playing the game for quite some time. I don't have all the answers to everything, but I understand the game fairly well. One thing that gets asked a lot in my streams is how to improve your account. People ask for account reviews. Well, here's the thing. I'm finding myself giving almost the exact same advice on every single account that I review. So I thought it might be worth putting together a universal account review to basically give you the high-level things to keep an eye out for, to watch out for, and just in general, how to make your account as strong as possible. Now, obviously, as a star creator and somebody who has spent a fair amount, I've got a lot of things unlocked, so don't think you have to focus on unlocking everything. That takes time, takes grinding, and whatnot. So to begin with, the very first thing I look at for anyone is to see what cards they have equipped, because your cards affect everything in your entire account. So every game mode is going to be impacted, every character is going to be impacted, and how you build everything else mostly relies on universal stuff like swords and cards. So let's start with cards. Now, to begin with, I want to talk about some of the best cards. The fact that a lot of people that are newer have a tendency to do hybrid builds, which means they will focus their cards on two game modes, PvE, which is player versus environment, and PvP, which is player versus player. My advice, focus on PvE only. If you eventually get a nice card set, which could take years, then you can work on a PvP specific one. The reason I advise against a hybrid set is because you're going to do mediocre in both game modes, and in my opinion, you get better rewards from player versus environment PvE game modes than you do for PvP. For this reason alone, I highly advise you hard focus on a PvE set, grind materials. PvP, I've never really had PvP focused cards, and I do reasonably well in PvP. If you build the right characters, you can still get the rewards from PvP without hard focusing it. Hard focusing on a PvP set and buying the best characters, constantly rotating, chasing the meta, getting the best possible is very expensive and time consuming. The meta is constantly shifting. It is expensive to be a top PvP player. So I would go for the average PvP player just to get some of the rewards. So with the cards, which cards are the best in the game? For PvP, these are the cards that I would recommend as the absolute best in the game, and I have a lot of them. To begin with, open your menu, go down to Marvel Universe. We're going to go to the cards section just so we can see all the cards. In my opinion, most of the cards that pop up here are not really worth it. We are only going to stick with P cards. Very high level, just so you know, normal cards that are not P cards have 2 orange stats at the top that are locked. The percentage is based upon the quality of the card. So a 1% quality, a quality 1 versus a quality 7, 11% is a quality 7. That's the highest you get. It drops down by like 1% or more each time that you go down. So just be aware of that. A P card doesn't have just 3 stats. There are going to be not just 2 stats. It's going to have 3 stats that are orange. The third stat at the top does not go up with quality. Only the top 2 do. Everything else on the bottom are random chances. If you hold your finger over the question mark, it'll show you what it could randomly land on. So when you're picking cards, the options you get on the bottom matter, which means you want to re-roll. Idealistically, you want a quality 7, which is the best, and you want the best options at the bottom. These are called unicorn cards because they're so rare. It's hard to believe. It's like a mythological creature that you're just not going to see. So some people refer to them as unicorn cards. With that in mind, really quick, high level, P cards, right? There are these 4 at the bottom, ignoring the zombie ones, that all have a proc on them. The reason they're so good is because of the proc. If you don't have the proc on it, you're defeating the purpose of having the card. So idealistically, if you can, Fantastic Four, Ghost Rider, White Fox, and Luna Snow with their procs, and either Baby, Spidey, or Guardians is the best PvE card set in the game to date, in my opinion. You will notice I have all of them but the Avengers, and I am trying my best to finish rolling a Fantastic Four so that I can eventually have that set. Now, I mentioned to you, you want at least quality 7 if you can. I would settle for quality 5. I have the proc. This proc is very, very important. Aside from getting the proc and having reasonable stats on the bottom, which I'll talk about some of the stats you want to aim for, you also want to see if you can't get a blue all attack. Your attack does not cap. So when you are reforging your cards, it is important, first of all, to get all blue so you can have your max pierce, but you want to get reasonable stats, but the most critical one, in my opinion, is the all attack. Yes, you can settle for an energy or physical attack, better than nothing, but in the game, some characters do physical, some characters do energy. All attack applies to all character types, so you are limiting your cards if you do not have a blue all attack on every single P card you have equipped in your set, which means, in my opinion, do not lock a single stat until you have a blue all attack. Then start locking your blue stars until you can get all blue stars. The other stats, it's up to you how much you want to gamble and risk. Obviously, having better stats by going through them, picking out prime stats. Stuff like resists are usually, you don't need them. There are better options in the resists and the defenses and whatnot in most cases. You know, critical rates, critical damages, attack speed, dodge. All of this stuff is very, very, very good to roll. Sometimes it's hard to get. With that being said, the top stats is one of the reasons a lot of these are good. Those don't change. They're locked in place. The number, the 5.1, 5.76 is the same across all cards. So even if you go here, 5.1, 5.4, 5.6, 6, like you can go through all the cards and it's the same. The stats below their position is the percentage lock. The options is what's different from card to card. They're not the same across all P cards. So aside from that, the other thing to keep in mind if you need to reroll, get a duplicate in your inventory, reroll it there. Yes, it's harder to get decent stats again. If not, if you want to risk it, if you reroll an equipped card, it can hurt. So with these, as I'd mentioned, the Guardians of the Galaxy is like the baby Spidey card. The reason it is considered one of the best cards. So the first thing to keep in mind for P cards that are really, really good, they will always have the all attack in the top ranking. Again, this doesn't cap, especially in PvE. You want to do as much damage as you can, take out bosses and characters quickly, clear things you want to do damage. The bottom stats, specifically with Guardians of the Galaxy and Baby Spidey, you can roll what's called double attack, which is like having another all attack. So energy and physical at the bottom, that's why I'm settling for a quality 6 here. If I had this in a 7, it would be even better. But yeah, double here, that's basically 5.7 all attack with a little bit extra percentage on the physical in this particular scenario. Again, Baby Spidey can also get the double attack at the bottom. That's what you want to aim for if you're going to equip this card. When it comes to White Fox, the biggest thing, notice I got a physical attack at the bottom, which is good, and I have a lightning resist. Idealistically, if you have a critical rate or dodge or even recovery rate, would be better, but the attack stat, beautiful. Could be physical, could be energy, either one's fine. Idealistically, though, as long as you have the proc. If you don't have the proc, you're hurting yourself. This proc, activation rate, 5% chance when attacking, every so often you're going to get a 20% increase of physical attack randomly for 15 with a 15-second cooldown. Like, randomly, you have a chance for this to activate for another 20% damage. That's what makes it so good. The Avengers, the reason it's a top 10 card at least, maybe top 7, you know, underneath Guardians of the Galaxy and the Baby Spider potentially, maybe even rivaling them. I still think one of those two with the double attack at the bottom is better, is because it only has attack. So it's got the energy and it's got the physical based upon your quality, and then you have an all attack down here. That's usually why it's good. Now, this is actually a pretty decent roll, which is why I haven't replaced it yet. But again, blue stars on everything. All attack, blue stars on all my cards. Every single one. That's what you want to aim for. The Luna Snow here also has the proc, but now it's energy. So there's a physical one and an energy one. The Ghost Rider has a proc, and this one's all basic attacks, which helps everyone. And again, so you can see that there's energy and physical, which is like an all attack. You have over here, you have energy attack, and all basic attacks. So there's an all attack and a little extra energy. And then over here on the White Fox, what do you have? You have all attack. All of them have the all attack up there. And then, as I'd mentioned, for the next best card for the card set is Fantastic Four, which gives you instinct increase by 20%. So when you go to your card and you go to your card collection, you get all these bonuses for collecting. They all stack together. You get everything you have equipped, all the reforged stuff, and if you view all of your effects, this is the total sum of everything you have, including the collection effect. So all of this stuff, I have all of these procs. I'll have that 4th proc that'll fire off as well. These are all your things. If you are newer, cooldown rate should be over 30%. You can get some of this from your swords. You also want to get as much attack as possible because it doesn't cap. Your ignore defense needs to be capped on all characters. Your cooldown rate needs to be capped on all characters. Critical rate and critical damage are very important to have. So all of these stats right here, Attack speed, critical rate, critical damage are all important stats. Ignore defense, as long as you have this, at least I would say 30. 30 for cooldown, 30 for ignore defense are your most important ones. And then everything else, you just get as much as you can. So there is my universal card advice. So if you want advice on what cards to get, this is the type of cards you should focus on. You can settle for other stuff, make your decision based upon getting as much attack as possible, what you have available to you. There are cards that you must settle for because other cards are very hard to get, and that's okay. But you want to always go for P cards, and you want to look at the ones that I was telling you about that are reasonable to get. Those Black Panthers are okay to get in the meantime. The Loki is okay to get in the meantime. It's okay to have stuff there in the meantime, but if you land on these cards, keep them, build them, equip them. Okay, next thing, ISO 8 sets. Basically, if you are going to be doing PvE, it is all about the attack. There are 3 attack sets, and in my opinion, you want to skip the Hawkeye's one, because the Hawkeye's attack set is going to give you extra cooldown. When it comes to set bonuses, you have all set bonuses, and you can look through. All of these are offensive. So these top 3 here are the ones that are going to give you this activation proc of all attack. All attack. There's a 40% all attack bonus from these 3 sets. There are PvP options. Stark's backing. I am also Groot. Binary power. That are optional for PvP characters. But for PvE, you want Power the Angry Hulk or Overdrive. The big thing to keep a difference between these is you can compare them. You can see the stats they have, right? So Hawkeye's over here, you have all these stats at the top, including cooldown. This one over here, see, they all have all attack. Every single one of them has all attack. Hawkeye's has cooldown. It's the only one with cooldown. Let's see, critical rate, critical damage. We have a critical rate here, but no damage. We have a critical damage and critical rate here as well on Overdrive. Then we can look through dodge. Let's see, no dodge here and no dodge here. So Hawkeye's gives you dodge and cooldown. With Power the Angry Hulk, we have attack speed, which is, I think, unique. Yeah, unique to Power the Angry Hulk is attack speed. And then you have the all defense. This one also has the all defense, and it has ignore defense. So as you can see here, there's different reasons to pick them. And then the ISO 8 that you actually equip is ISO, by the way, is short for isotope if you're curious. The isotope 8 that you equip, so over here you have 3 chaotic ones, and over here you only have 2. So keep in mind the ones that you do, like these powerful ones are physical, or you can get the all attack. These are energy, or you can get the all attacks. When you're equipping these, it's important. It's also important to get your set bonus. So if you have it, you have to equip the right type to get the bonus, and the bonus goes up based upon the red. So once you get them to 6 stars and equip them, you want to get them to all red so you can get the full bonus. The full upgrade bonus is based upon your stage bonus. It is more if you have it maxed out. Max out your ISO 8 sets. I cannot say this enough. Every single character on my account, with the rare exception of a few PvP characters, has POA or Overdrive. See, there's a binary power. It's a rare exception. But most of these are POA and Overdrive, and you will notice that in every single situation, you have all red stars. Get your full bonus if you are going to equip this. It is very important that you go through and figure that out. Now, also, when you're going through these set bonuses as well, you want to match them up with the type of character it is. So, info. You have energy attack characters, and most of these are energy attack. So here's a physical attack character. Energy attack. So it'll say energy or physical as the top thing. That means that their damage, there's a physical character as well, they're going to scale. So if you go to skills, the type of damage your character does, it'll say something on each of these attacks, right? It's based upon percent of physical damage, based upon percent of physical attack. So, right, physical attack. All of his skills that are physical are scaling on physical attack. The energy characters are going to have stuff where it's scaling on energy. So a lot of these here, it's percentage of energy. Now, the damage that's actually dealt can be elemental or it can just be raw. So you can do physical damage based upon physical, or you can do elemental damage based upon energy or physical. So each of the characters you need to understand when you're building your character and choosing your ISO 8 and choosing which CTPs to give, you need to understand how your characters do their attacks. We'll get into that a little bit more here in a few. Wanted to point that out. There are 2 exceptions in the entire game that do not specifically scale on physical or energy attack, and that is Hulk and Victorious. Both Hulk and Victorious scale on hit points, meaning bigger hit point pool means more damage. And you see this inside the skills. Even though he's a physical character, all of his attacks that he has here is percentage of hit points. Percentage of hit points. So it's physical damage, but it's based upon hit point pool. So the reason we get as much attack as we can, and the all attack applies for all characters, is because the damage that they do scales based upon that pool. So you want to do more damage, you need a bigger pool. They don't cap. All of your other stats on your characters have a cap. Once they hit the cap, everything else is over. So, as an example here, Doctor Strange, I'm going to his details. I'm going to show exceeds. Everything that is yellow is capped. The red is overcap. That means attack speed caps at 130, but his actual attack speed is 150%, 0.47. The 20.47 doesn't count because it caps at 130. That's how all these work. So if you can cap your numbers, you're fine. Which means if you're moving ISO 8 around or Uru around or anything on your characters, you can look at what's capped and adjust it accordingly so you can keep it capped. That's how you pick your uniform options for your characters. That's how you pick your ISO 8 sets, your cards. That's why when you get advice on cards and swords, they're aimed at certain things to max out your characters. So, again, with the ISO 8 set, we want to make sure that we're equipping the proper things. Since he is an energy attack character, this powerful ISO 8, it can only be all attack or physical. So putting physical on Doctor Strange does nothing for him. That's why he has the all attacks. Now, I could have given him a red. The amplifying one can be all attack or energy. And since he's energy, I could put an energy one here. That's how you make those decisions. The blue and green should always be the all defenses. The physical defense only does half the defense. So if you're going to use these, which you have to for your sets, make sure that you're picking for absorbing and impregnable. Make sure you're doing the all defense options to get the benefit of both. Critical rate is just straight critical rate. The chaotic ones, in my opinion, you can go with an all attack, or if they're energy attack at the top if you want more attack. Bottom number, dodge. Hit points is for survivability. Those are not bad. I typically like to go with, like Doctor Strange, I'm trying to get as much damage as possible because I do not need critical rate and dodge. However, when you're going through your characters, a lot of these here with the critical rate and dodge, this is mainly put on so you can cap those stats. You want to cap them for different CTPs like Rage, which actually does more damage based upon your percentage of your critical rate and dodge. So having both of those capped is important. So I would say the critical rate and dodges are usually the go-to unless you have those stats capped. If you're going to your character and you're finding that everything you're putting on them, you're over-capping on your critical rate and your dodge. So dodge is not capped. Critical rate is over-capped. I need more dodge. So if you have a character that already has these maxed out, like my Doctor Strange, then you can go for the attack instead. That's how you're picking which chaos ones to go for. Just remember, if you change your cards, swords, or general build, you can impact those numbers. So always go back to your character details when you're trying to figure it out. Also realize it's okay if you break your characters temporarily and fix them later. So that's the ISO 8 advice. Max them out, make them all red, work on sets, go for POA or Overdrive on almost every character, see what stats they need, or better yet, just whichever one you roll to first. Auto roll until you get one of the two and just go with that set. That's what I typically end up doing. Future Blaze here, I forgot to mention something. I wanted to talk about instinct for characters. So the instinct applies especially with artifacts, but basically tier 4 characters, competition, anything that has an instinct bonus, like for example, Doctor Strange's instinct right here, you'll see that basic damage and all this other stuff is increased by total instinct. So having a bigger instinct is going to do more damage. Now there's a cap on this and how much it can do, but you want to get the most out of it. Also want to point out too with like support artifacts, for example, or with Valkyrie. So this artifact here, it applies to all allies and it increases basic damage dealt to boss types by 11%, but an additional 0.2% of total instinct up to 200%. That is the instinct of the ally it's applying to. So that's actually, in this case, on the Doctor Strange team, it would be Doctor Strange's instinct. So when you're looking at instinct for a character, you can go over here to details. And then once that loads, you hit the instinct tab. And then underneath here, you'll see total instinct. Now there's math involved in how you get this total instinct. This total instinct number is a combination of all the different instinct type below. But he's a justice character. So if you hold your finger over the question mark, you'll see you get 100% of the justice, but everything else is cut in half. So if you have a few thousand here in cruelty or order of destruction and they're a justice character, you're only getting half of that to the total, whereas the justice, the whole 4,919, is going up here to the total instinct. Something to keep in mind if you're going to equip an artifact or something like that, you'll see here this pink. That means you are matching the instinct type for that character. If it is a different color, like an orange, you're not matching the instinct type. Now, if you go to manage artifacts, you can actually go to all instincts and it will highlight in green whatever their instinct is. So he's a justice character. So if I did that, it would show all the different ones that have justice. So if I was to equip one of these, but of course, in order to get the special ability, it requires it to be that character. Not every artifact is worth equipping. Not every artifact has a good skill to use for all characters, so it's different per character. So like over here, you can see this is Gladiator. So if I go to manage again, and if I hit all, you'll see orders in green. Same thing. So you can click that and sort to the order one so that you can equip type match. So you have to like look through and determine if this is going to be beneficial for the character, if it's worth getting. Again, not everyone is worthwhile, but at the very least, you want to focus on getting that instinct pull as big as possible for things that require instinct. So that's kind of it in a nutshell, how instinct works. Now back to the regularly scheduled video. Uniform options kind of work along the same way with the stats. You're going to want to go through and do mythic uniforms with, if you can, mythic options for all the uniforms. So all the uniforms, this is the only reason to collect uniforms. You unlock additional bonuses. Having it mythic, you get these additional things. What you pick for here is going to be based upon that details page. What do you need more of? So when you go through and change, you can pick accordingly. All attack for the bottom one almost every time. Or you can just do the energy for Doctor Strange, physical for physical, like depending on what they are. The bottom one, you usually always want the all attack on. All the rest of these is just what you need. Since I'm capped out on dodge, dodge is good. Movement speed helps you move around. Both of those are reasonable, but if not, just throw on the all defense. Get both of the defense bonuses. Attack speed, just, if you need it, energy attack, like just check out what you need and cap it out as much as you can. With both of these being attack speeds, you can see I can kind of go through them. I can have a dodge here. Attack speed is the most useful. What can I have down here? I can have hit points or attack speed. There's no attack options there. So since there's no attack options, I'm just kind of throwing in one. So whatever you need to do there. CTPs in general, you obviously want to work up, but you want to reroll them to max stats. When it's brilliance, you have to use CTPs to reroll brilliance, so those are a pain in the butt. If you have mighties, at least, you're getting the extra bonus. Make sure that you're rolling them right. The best way to see if you're rolling them right is when you go... you will see an option where you can do change option, and then you can auto change, and then you can choose change option and you pick what they are. You can actually see what the max stats are. So for this bottom stat, this little cup tells you these are the max stats, the 20% bonuses on all allies. So you want to pick that and not settle for less if you can afford all the rerolls. Save them up, stockpile them, and then changing them to these extreme boost obelisks, you have chances to reroll them. When you're picking CTPs for PvE characters, so the first thing to keep in mind is you have Liberation and you have Insight. If you have different options on the insights, 2 insights, the different options will apply, but the bottom option, you only get the benefit from 1. So Liberation and Insight on teams helps. Those are support CTPs that help basically boost another character. So you put them on support characters. For your main characters and damage dealers, Rage is going to be for characters that are either difficult to proc. What that means, and I have videos on procking, I'll do that separately. What that essentially means is when you're doing a skill set and you are hitting your big skill, all of the skills inside that skill set are going to be amplified by the Rage. Based upon the percentage, what's this down here? Critical rate and dodge. Again, that's why you want those maxed out. And they do give you some critical rate and dodge here. The other ones to consider for PvE, there is competition. These are ones when it's hard to proc and it's very random. Like Rage characters would be like Doctor Strange. You have a whole bunch of skills. You might proc early, but you can kind of self-contain them all inside that amplification proc. Competition are characters like Moon Knight, and it's kind of all over the place of when it's going to proc. It's inconsistent. You might proc late, you might proc early. A little bit harder to deal with. It also has a bonus with your total instincts, so those are for tier 4 characters specifically, and the tier 4 characters who have a lot of instinct are going to do more with competition. Judgment is basically for elemental characters, even though, again, elemental characters can use either. Energy has fallen out of favor. For the most part, those are the ones that you're going to look at. The Conquest is the best CTP for PvP. So if you're looking for PvP, especially getting your wall and maxing out your stats, a max wall on your conquest is a lifesaver. The top stat, you usually want to try to reroll it until you get the special skill in most cases. Like for rage, it's enraged. You want to have them enraged. You don't want to have the other option. So again, look through them when you're rerolling. Get the best stats you can on your CTPs when you are equipping them. As far as like who gets what, you basically want to find out who the current meta is and what people are applying. If you really want to, you can go to Manage Custom Gear on any character and hit this little icon up here to get an idea of what most people are equipping them with. That does not mean it's right, but you can at least get an idea of who most people are equipping. So 100% of the people out there who have a CTP on Doctor Strange are putting rages on him. And of course, you can flip through the side menu, or you can stick with your favorites here. Like Odin's an example. I know Odin, a lot of people are putting a competition on. Competition's also fantastic on Mephisto, but I'm going to show you Odin because I know some people put rages on him and both work. So again, manage, it auto pulls up that person. 62% are using a competition, 30% are using a rage, 1% is using a conquest for some reason, a regeneration and authority. Oh my goodness. Some of these options, like I said, are not always great, but just because it's the number one choice does not make it the best choice. It just gives you some insight. It is better to talk to experienced players who know what they're doing, ask them questions, and try to get assistance and help. Moving on, let's talk about swords. The next thing I think is incredibly important is swords. When you are working on swords, do not equip more than one of the same colored swords. Don't put 2 red swords to max out red. Do not put 2 purple to max out purple. Get one of each color and always get the one with the most stones. So if you have a 2-stone red sword, equip it. If you get a 3-stone red sword, do not equip it beside it. Override it. Put the 3 stones there instead until you get to your 4, to your 5. Keep increasing it. You want one of each color, and you want as many stones matching as possible, which means a lot of rerolling, a lot of luck, a lot of chance. It is very hard to get the 6 stones. But what you want is you want to have all of the skills boosted up. Again, this affects your whole account. All of these benefits go everywhere. When you max out having the 6 stars for all of your stuff, you get so much more damage. When you start at 1, like this increases over time, it goes all the way up to 50%, all attack, all game modes, very important. The other thing to keep in mind with swords is this is where you can get your cooldown. So you can save up 6 stone swords, right? You can change the options here, and you can reroll. So I can reroll 290 times. There is a cooldown you can get on every sword, and if you roll this cooldown, it can be between 1 and 4%, which means you can get quite a large boost of cooldown, which a lot of people need, off your swords. So if I go back over here and I view all of my effects, how much cooldown am I getting off of my swords? 18%. Which applies to all characters, skill cooldown from my swords. That lifts the need of it off of my cards, so I can reroll the cards differently. You should have at least 10% cooldown across all your swords at any level. That's your goal, 10%. Do the best you can. It is going to help. So, again, real quick recap for your swords. Get one of each color. Keep working until you get a higher stone for that. When you have more matching stones, always do the most matching stones of the one color, so your blue should have the max number. Again, if you have 4 stones matching on your blue, you finally hit a 5, put the 5 on immediately. Keep going and focusing on trying to get as many stones of each color as possible. It will take time. It'll give you a headache. On average, 3 is pretty easy to hit. Getting above 3 gets tricky. Once you get 5, getting that 6 matching stones is a nightmare. I got them from bingoing. 2 to 3 of my swords I got from bingoing. I think I got lucky on 1, maybe, and I think I did a reroll stone. I had a renew that I tried that I got up to a 5 before, and those are expensive. If you end up getting 5 matching and 1 not, you can hang on to it, but in most cases you just want to use it for reforging and just call it. So the first thing to do when you're working on Enchanted Uru is you want to collect this stuff, and when there's the event where it's half off price, you want to go in here and you want to go into the right section, and you want to do a combine all. So it's 30% off. So I actually want to hit max and spend it. Burn it all on. Just keep going. Do this with every single one. Mass do it as possible. The only ones I lock is 6-star Uru that I actually need. And you want to use it for needed characters. The best use of your Uru is maxing them out to 6 and rolling for Odin's Blessings. Odin's Blessings, OB, are hands down, way superior to anything you're going to find Uru-wise. When you are picking your Uru, and we'll talk about this in just a second. I want to roll these. Oh, actually, I don't have to roll these up in my tutorial video, do I? When you roll them up, when you have these extra, max it out and roll all of your 6 and just keep doing it until you can land on as many of the Odin's Blessings as possible. So just keep going. And even if you have them in your inventory, sometimes you want to roll them anyway. If you can, of course, I didn't get any. Now I am going to do the rest in this just to see if I can get some. Usually you'll get lucky enough to get 2 or 3, roughly, in each of the events if you're staying on top of it. If you have a ton, you might actually get more. But going through and rolling these, you don't want to sit on too many sitting in your inventory because you're not using them. And some characters are just Shadowland characters. So as long as you have, like, at least 5-star, preferably 6-star Uru on your character, you're usually fine. But what you're really going for is you're really going for the Odin's Blessings on your best characters. So you see, I sitting on 74 of these. Like, there's no reason to sit on 74 of these. So these, I mean, at least take 10, 20, something, and see, there you go. There you go. I've got an Odin's Blessing. That's what you want to do, is grab these Odin's Blessings, and you want to amplify all of them. So you click on them, you hit Awaken, you grab one of these filler Uru that you have sitting there, and then you make it sparkly. Obviously, if you get super success, it's even better, but it makes them more powerful. And your Uru are basically going to go on your character, just like the Odin's Blessings do, and preferably you want Odin's Blessings. So a lot of the top ranked characters, you're going to go over here, and they're going to all be amplified. So you're going to click on your character, you're going to hit Equip Uru, and you're going to amplify this until all slots are amplified. Go for 4 slots. Like I said, sometimes you have this extra success here, right? Engraved Odin's Blessing balance. And then over here, I've got the glory one, and then you can see it's got that like little pink glow around it. So the bonus and benefit that it's getting on these pink glowy ones is going to be a little bit better. Like this one here, it's 145, 145. This one over here, I think is a pink, it's 183 over 183. So that's how you get these extra stats. When you're picking these, you can only put one Odin's Blessings per slot. So with this magic double energy, I can only put 1 per slot. So you want to fill these out with what you need. So pick your Odin's Blessings based upon what the character needs. Save the elemental one for elementals. Remember, attack doesn't cap. If you are going with your Uru, like all of these are Odin's Blessings for these main characters. I know. We'll ignore Shang-Chi. He's not used anywhere. Sometimes even good characters I've got filled with some bad stuff. But some of the main characters are basically going to be stacked. So when you're going to your characters that are not like top meta, or you're running out, or if they're support filler characters, you don't have to roll everything to be amplified. If it's a filler character, don't waste your materials. If you're not using them a lot, you can unequip it. You don't have to waste it on characters that you don't use a lot. When you go in, like I said, some of these I only have amplified. I don't use him. So I only have five stars here, and some of these are 3 stars. But you look at their details, you see what they need, and you equip the Uru that you need. You can have 2 Uru of the same type, 1 Odin's Blessing of the same type per gear. So you just max out your stats the best you can. You amplify them, which makes them do more than just your plain ones. When you are working on tier 4 materials, this is why farming is so important. You want to try to push World Boss. Now, World Boss Legendary is always going to drop materials for you. So if you're going over here to your World Boss of the day is going to give you a bonus. So what I like to do is I like to re-roll it, hit auto reset, and then pick the World Boss Legendaries. So I wait until I get one of those. If you don't have a lot of gold, settle for who you want. But when you run these missions, there's a chance for them to drop CTPs. There's a chance for them to drop tier 4 mats and Titan records and all sorts of stuff. So if you can get and farm your materials here for your Carbonadium and your Soul of the Faltine and your Life Seeds, make sure that you're running with boost points on co-op, do Giant Boss Raid. Make sure you're running the best one here, Dormammu, so that you can get your Souls of the Faltine. If you do a full boost with 100 boost points twice and then 1 normal run, you'll get 165 souls every day. Make sure that you're always doing that. There's also the store that you can go to here. And when you go to the store, there is a token section. And the token section will reset every so often. Like the main reason, in my opinion, to stockpile and save up for the, not that token one, but for the token shop thing right down here. A lot of these you save up for specifically for getting tier 4 mats. Like over here in the tier 4 mats, resets in 4 days. I can get Souls of the Faltine, Carbonadium. I can get Godstones. I can get Power of the Demiurge. Like, there's no reason not to be purchasing these. Letting it cool down, that's what you usually save up a lot of this stuff for. So Carbonadium and Souls of the Faltine, you probably always want to buy so you can get tier 4 characters. The Power of the Demiurge and the Godstones is for your special gear, which I probably should cover that too next. Just go through all of these and see what you can get. In most cases, in this area here, I usually just get the rank up materials. I've got 4 million. If I need BIOS, I usually dump BIOS into a single character. So they're at the top, they're easier to find, and I know I can burn them because they're from the support shop. Dispatch is random. There's not really a lot you can do there as far as the tier 4 mats. I think Otherworld Shop has some of the materials. So yeah, see, 5-day cooldown, I already bought both of those. Then there is, let's see, Shadowland Shop. Both of these are on cooldown for 5 days again. Yeah, you can go for other stuff like CTP. I would go for tier 4 mats unless you have enough tier 4 characters. And then the last one here is the Arena Shop, same thing. I'm already waiting on the cooldown for both of those. And yeah, I know I've got enough for the CTP, but I usually wait on these a lot. Now, the Power of the Demiurge and the Godstones. So when you are working on your characters, that last slot, save this for your best characters because it's hard. Getting up to 200 is very difficult. So when you're doing your elite gear, as you unlock it and you do the manage, first of all, you have the ability to reset if you want to redistribute them. You just hit manage and then reset. Usually all attack. Max that out and then hit points. That's going to be for most characters, even in PvP. If you really wanted to do all defense and max hit points, you could for PvP. Usually I recommend all attack and max hit points. For the specialized gear, most of the characters, there's slightly differences, right? They have a lot of the same stats, but the bottom one's usually unique. For most of the characters that are ABX, which is my favorite, Alliance Battle Extreme, Alliance Battle Legendary, Boss Slayer. That's usually what you want to do for that. Dormammu, I think this works on Dormammu too. So I max this out for 6 for all of them. And then Natural Instincts I threw in as the additional one here. I'll show you a couple of characters just to give you a couple different options here. So this one I only have at 161. Again, I mostly worked on the Boss Slayer. So I started out with the all attack. Everything else is going in hit points. I'm starting with Boss Slayer until I max it out. And then see this Natural Instinct one increases instinct damage. Your PvP characters, usually it's about survivability. I've heard mixed feelings. Gore is one. So let me grab Gore, Kang, and all that. So I've got him at 136. In his case, I ended up going with the top one, Disarmament, because excluding bosses, it's going to ignore enemies' damage. Right? So it ignores enemies' damage decrease by 4%. You could also do the Root of Life. I've heard people go back and forth with mixed feelings about that. If I go over here, I think Null's example, I ended up going with the Root of Life there for him, which gives him the extra hit points. I figured a bigger hit point pool. So there's mixed feelings on that. So just be aware of that when you're going through working on your elite gear, saving up for things and whatnot. So yeah, I think that covers everything for basic account building and what you want for your account, how you want to spend some of your resources. If you have any additional questions, feel free to put them below in the comments. I will do my best to get back to them. You can also catch one of my live streams, if I'm still doing live streams, because this video will be up for who knows how many years. But yeah, if you ever want to swing by or hang out in my Discord or something, ask questions, I will do the best, answer the questions the best I know them. There's always plenty of stuff to learn in this game, and there's constantly new information. So take your time, pace yourself, have fun, enjoy, and I will catch you in the next one. Thanks for watching.